this image and this image, and I want to combine them. So I'm going to grab this background layer, drag it over, holding my mouse down, hover over that tab I want the image to be dropped into. Remember, I can't let go now, it'll disappear. I've got to pull the image into the image and let go. If I hold down the shift key, it will center it. See how it centered it top to bottom, left to right? Now I want to remove this black background from the bee. Luckily, if I look over my properties panel, automatically there's a quick action. And remember, if you can't see it, just kind of pull whatever panel you have out of the way so you can see it, because this is by default always there under quick actions, or toggle your disclosure triangle. I'm gonna click remove background. It did a decent job. I'm gonna turn this off so I can really see. I mean, it didn't do perfect around a lot of the black areas around here. If I double click on this layer mask that it made for me, it's going to launch the select and mask dialog box. And then I can grab this refine edge brush and I can come over here, right bracket key for a bigger brush, and just paint over that blue. Now I don't have to go inside each of these hair areas, right? There are options that I probably have, which is click refine hair. Let's see how it does all around the edges. Did a pretty good job. See how it selected all those out? Notice my radius is at 2 pixels with smart radius checked. Again, telling Photoshop look around my entire selection on 2 pixels on either side and make sure it looks good. I typically keep my smoothing between 1 and 3. Here I have it at 1. I usually leave my feather under 1 pixel. Here I have it at 0.6. My shift edge is going to be at 0% for this one. I definitely want to decontaminate the colors. That's going to help remove that black fringing. And then I'm going to output to a new layer with layer mask. So what it's going to do is it's going to duplicate that bee, add the layer mask, and I'm good to go. So now what do I want to do? I want to turn back on this layer, see how it looks. All right, so I have placed an object onto another image with use of a layer mask. Now let's kind of figure out how to integrate this into an interesting design. I'll hit Command or Control T because I think this should be scaled down. Maybe I'll hover outside the bounding box and rotate it just a touch, something like this. Hit return or enter. All right, so now my bee is getting lost in this world of bees. Like it's too visually disconnected. The colors aren't quite right. He's a little bit more yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add a color balance adjustment, which are these scales. And I'm just going to drag the reds up a ton and the yellows up a ton, and the reds up some more, just to make it a touch more orangey. Now remember, it's applying it to everything. So if I hold down the Alt or Option key and click in between these two layers, it will restrict that adjustment just to this bee, which I think it did. Now this extreme adjustment has kind of washed out all of my pure blacks. Do you see how that's happening? So I can add a levels adjustment layer. Notice it's not clipped, so I'll still need to hold down the Alt or Option key and clip this all the way down to the bee. And then I'm just going to drag it just to get a little bit more contrast there, make the bee a little brighter, something like that. So I like the color of the bee, right? It's got that nice warm fiery glow, which I want. I think I also want to fade down this background. Now how do you fade down a background? Because notice how the opacity slider is grayed out. It's just giving me no access. The way you do that is you click on this lock once. It will unlock the background layer, converting it to a layer instead of a background layer, which is always locked. And then I can click this button right here beside the trash can, which says create a new layer. Let me pull this up a little so you can see what it did. See how I added a new layer? So I'm going to grab this layer and pull it down, or you could have also grabbed the sunflower layer and drag it up. See that blue line? It always tells you where you're about to drop it. I'm going to reselect that new transparent layer right here. Then I'm going to go up to Edit. I'm going to go down to Fill. I'm going to go over to White, which white's already there. Click OK. Then I'm going to reselect that sunflower layer, and I'm going to drag the opacity down just to make it a little less powerful in the image overall. And then I'm going to come back up. It looks like now my colors are a little bit too saturated. So remember, you can, because of these are adjustment layers, you can always edit them. So I'm just going to come back and click on those color balance scales, which is going to put my information back up here in the properties panel. And it's like, I went a little crazy. Let's pull back down the yellows. Let's pull down the reds a little bit. There we go. The color looks a bit more real. The whites aren't as contaminated. I like the direction that's going. Now, the last thing I would do is I think I want to outline this bee. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a stroke to this image by going to the FX and choosing stroke. And the stroke is on the outside. If yours is on the inside, this is what it would look like. See how it's coming into the bee and looking a little odd? Looks like I had this weird spot there I didn't see. But I'm going to go outside, and I can make it super big. And it's just following the form of the bee. And it's a little irregular as it goes around there, but I sort of like that for what we're going here. What would a drop shadow look like with that? Change the direction. It's not horrible. Pull the distance. Boom. Might as well add some text. T for text. Draw a box. And I'm going to call it the bees. Can't see a thing. So it's either too big or too small. Looking up here, 849 points, that's probably too big. I'm going to double click, and that's going to highlight all the text that's invisible to me. And I'm just going to quickly just go down to 72, because there's the text. And then I'm going to use the scrubby slider and just drag that up, something like that. And then I want to click this text layer and drag it outside of that clipping group. Put it at the very top, so it's going to be in front. Still didn't get rid of the clipping mask, so I'm going to Alt-Option click to unclip it. There we go. Looks like I'm using ACR BAT, Text Noir, 404 points. Hit the Move tool, pull this down. I think I want it to be a little larger, and I'm just going to cheat and use the Command T for free transform, so I can hold the Shift key and stretch this a little taller. And now I'll let go of the Shift key so I can just make it a little larger, scale it up, maybe something like that. But I'm not sure I like the color. It's not dominant enough. So let me double click it to highlight. I'll click that white text box right here in the tool options bar. And I'm gonna hover outside and say, I think I want color from the bee itself for the homogeny of the design. Maybe gold like honey. Yeah, I think gold like honey would be nice. Click the Move tool. It's definitely going to need a stroke, right? It's going to need something to set it apart. Well, why wouldn't we just apply the stroke we've already used? See, I can come down here, hold down the Alt-Option key, and click on the word stroke. Holding the Alt-Option key will allow me to duplicate it, pull it up to the bees, let go, see how my stroke here stayed, but I applied the exact same stroke setting to here. This, again, trying to keep the design very similar. So I definitely like the direction this is going. For me, I think I'd still want to tweak it a bit. I'll click the text layer, hit Command T, because I think I want to crop a little bit off the left side and make this a bit more asymmetrical. So now I'll hit C for the crop, pull in from the left side, see how that's going to look. I think I'll pull in from the top. See how that's a bit more concise design. Remember, I'm a big believer, any image can be cropped to be improved. And there we go. Now you've learned how to place an object and an image by using a layer mask. And you've also learned how to apply FX, special effects like strokes and drop shadows. You've learned how to use text, resize it, and then also apply the same stroke effects technique to the text. I hope this has helped. Hey, if you like this video and it helped, you can help me. Smack it, whack it, and crack-a-lack it. Take care. I like subscribers.
That's awesome. Whoa. Yes! Oh my god, I did. This is...
Hey, you stayed to the end. You know what that means? You're awesome. I'm talking about you. Now get out of here.